It blends scientific curiosity, historical fact, and deep emotion, tailored for an American audience who loves a mix of intellect and heart. The Echo of the Voyager. Did you know that the human voice, when traveling through a standard telephone wire, moves at about one-third the speed of light? Or that sound waves, theoretically, never actually disappear? They just dissipate, their energy stretching thinner and thinner until they become a part of the background hum of the universe. In physics, this is called the law of conservation of energy. In the human heart, it is called a memory. This story begins not with a look, but with a noise. Dr. Eris Thorne was a man who lived his life in the silence of a vacuum. As a senior signal analyst at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory in Pasadena, California, his job was to listen to the emptiness of space. He spent his days staring at spectrographs, visual representations of sound, hunting for anomalies in the cosmic static. Most people think space is silent, but Eris knew better. Space is noisy. Jupiter screams in electromagnetic bursts, the sun hums in a low baritone B-flat, and the background radiation of the Big Bang hisses like an old television set. On a Tuesday in late October, amidst the Santa Ana winds that were turning the Los Angeles sky a dusty orange, Eris found a ghost. It was a signal buried in data returned from the Deep Space Network. It wasn't the rhythmic pulse of a pulsar, nor the chaotic crash of a solar flare. It was structured. It had a cadence. It was barely a whisper, measuring only a few microhertz, but it was there. The computer algorithms flagged it as terrestrial interference, meaning it was likely just a rogue radio wave from Earth bouncing off a satellite. But the timestamp was wrong. Based on the degradation of the wave, this signal had been traveling for over 45 years. Eris needed to hear it. But modern digital filters were too aggressive. They scrubbed the anomaly away, thinking it was noise. He needed someone who understood the soul of analog sound. He needed the resonator. Elena Vance operated out of a converted warehouse in the Arts District of downtown Los Angeles. Her shop, Vance Archival Audio, smelled of ozone, old vinyl, and coffee. She was the best in the country at restoring degraded audio. She had recovered the lost whispers on FBI surveillance tapes and cleaned up bootleg recordings of Jimi Hendrix for the Library of Congress. When Eris walked in, clutching a secure hard drive, Elena didn't look up from the reel-to-reel machine she was calibrating. "If you're here about the Nixon tapes, I already told the Smithsonian I need 2 more weeks," she said, her voice raspy, like a needle dragging on a groove. "I'm not from the Smithsonian," Eris said, placing the drive on her desk. "I'm from JPL, and I have a sound that shouldn't exist." That got her attention. For the next 3 weeks, Eris and Elena worked in the dim light of her studio. The process was agonizingly slow. The signal was buried under layers of cosmic radiation, like a fresco hidden under centuries of plaster. This is where the story becomes surprising for those who don't know the science of sound. Elena explained to Eris that sound is physical. When you speak, you are physically pushing air molecules. To restore the audio, she wasn't just turning knobs. She was using an algorithm to mathematically reconstruct the missing air pressure from 40 years ago. "It's like archaeology," Elena said one night, sharing a carton of Thai takeout. "We are digging up a ghost. Why is this so important to you, Eris?" Eris looked at the waveforms dancing on the screen. "Because of the Voyager Golden Record." He explained that in 1977, NASA launched the Voyager probes. Attached to them were gold-plated copper phonograph records, containing sounds and images selected to portray the diversity of life on Earth to any extraterrestrials who might find them. It held the sounds of whales, thunder, and greetings in 55 languages. "My father worked on the Voyager team," Eris confessed, his voice dropping. "He was a junior audio engineer. He disappeared in 1982, just vanished. Car accident, they said, but they never found the body, only the car near the coast. I've always hated space because it took him away from me. He loved the stars more than he loved staying here. I think I'm looking for this signal because I want to prove that looking up isn't a waste of time." Elena looked at him, really looked at him for the first time. She saw the little boy inside the scientist. She reached out and covered his hand with hers. "We'll find it, Eris. We'll clean it up." As they worked, a romance began to bloom. Not the explosive kind you see in movies, but the steady, resonant kind. The kind that feels like a frequency finally locking into phase. They went on drives to Joshua Tree National Park to escape the light pollution of LA. There, Eris taught her about the look-back time, the fact that looking at the stars is actually looking into the past, because light takes time to travel. If you look at the Andromeda Galaxy, Eris pointed upward, you're seeing it as it was 2.5 million years ago. We are always falling in love with ghosts. "Not always," Elena whispered, leaning her head on his shoulder. "I'm seeing you right now." By mid-November, they had isolated the audio. They were ready to play it. The studio was silent. Eris's heart was hammering against his ribs at 120 beats per minute. Elena's hand hovered over the play button. "Ready?" she asked. "Ready." She pressed the button. Static hissed through the high-fidelity speakers, then a pop, and then a voice. It wasn't an alien. It wasn't a pulsar. It was a human voice, singing. It was a rough, unpolished recording of a man singing "Stardust" by Hoagy Carmichael. "Sometimes I wonder why I spend the lonely nights." Eris went pale. He grabbed the edge of the desk. That's him. That's my dad." But how? How was his father's voice coming from deep space, millions of miles away, from a signal 45 years old? Elena's eyes widened as she looked at the metadata encoded in the wave. "Eris, look at the frequency drift. This didn't come from a transmitter on Earth. This is a reflection." Here is the scientific marvel that makes this story true to the laws of physics. In the late 1970s, there were massive, unauthorized pirate radio experiments where engineers would boost signals illegally to test range. Eris's father hadn't just worked on the Voyager. He had been obsessed with the idea of immortality through sound. The data revealed the impossible truth. On the night before the Voyager launch in 1977, Eris's father had used the Deep Space Network's massive transmitter, unauthorized, to blast a personal recording into the cosmos. He aimed it at a specific dense molecular cloud in the constellation of Ophiuchus. "He bounced it," Eris whispered, tears streaming down his face. "He used the molecular cloud as a mirror. He sent it out so it would travel 20-something years, hit the cloud, and bounce back," Elena realized, doing the math in her head. "He created a cosmic time capsule. He wanted to send a message to the future." The song continued. "And I am once again with you." Then the singing stopped, and the voice spoke. "Eris, if you're